Coming up on AC 24/7, a respiratory virus is hitting children's hospitals hard. What parents need to know about the new sickness spreading across the country. Plus, fans and friends mourning the death of an award-winning comedy legend with a southern drawl. And The Rock joins the DC superhero universe as Black Adam. We'll take a look at reviews and box office numbers. Welcome to AC 24/7. I'm Stephen Walker. Leslie Jordan, a beloved comedian and actor known for his southern drawl, has died. The Tennessee native won an Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in 2005 for Will and Grace. His agent released a statement saying the world is a much darker place today without the love and light of Leslie Jordan. His agent also said what he lacked in height, he made up for in generosity and greatness as a son, brother, artist, comedian, partner, and human being. Jordan most recently co-starred in the sitcom The Cool Kids. He gained an unexpected new following in 2021 during the pandemic lockdown on Instagram and TikTok that led Jordan to write a book titled How You're Doing. In early October, he released a gospel album called Company's Coming, featuring Dolly Parton, Chris Stapleton, and Brandi Carlile. Leslie Jordan died in a single car crash Monday morning. He was 67 years old. Pediatric beds in intensive care units are now about 80% full. It's all because of a surge of respiratory illnesses amongst children. That's on top of flu and COVID. The Advocate Channel's Ivan Rodriguez has more.
Dwindling children's hospital beds, intensive care units being pushed to capacity, overwhelmed healthcare workers, all triggered by a surge in a common respiratory virus, also known as RSV, spreading at unprecedented levels amongst children.
Our beds are filled to capacity. The kids keep coming in. I have never seen this level of surge, specifically of RSV, coming into our hospital.
Federal data shows pediatric hospital beds are filling up more now than they have over the past 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Over the last 10 days, we've had over 100 kids that have come in with RSV into our system, which is really unprecedented.
Some doctors say children being more isolated to protect them from COVID may have fueled the rise in RSV cases.
I think their immune system just hasn't seen the number of viruses a typical child prior to the pandemic would have seen.
Kids were socially distanced. They were wearing masks for a long time, properly so. We needed to do that to prevent COVID infections. But now these viruses are capturing a population that is completely not used to them.
Despite the surge, doctors say they don't want parents to be too alarmed.
RSV is not as serious as COVID was in the adult population. We can take care of these kids. We can actually provide the care. The majority of them will get better, will go home.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
In Georgia's closely watched Senate race, GOP candidate Herschel Walker had fans during his football career. But in his hometown of Wrightsville, Georgia, not everyone is a fan when it comes to his current political ambitions. The Advocate Channel's Diane Gallagher reports.
Even before the sun rises, the hottest topic in town comes up in conversation at the Cornbread Cafe.
I like Herschel because he's all business.
For more than 40 years, the tiny town of Wrightsville, Georgia has been talking about Herschel Walker.
He's a local boy that's done good.
He has a street, a park, a high school field named after him here.
I was the #1 fan when he played football.
From the University of Georgia, Herschel Walker.
In the self-proclaimed friendliest town in Georgia, it's easy to find support for Walker's Senate campaign.
I think he's a man for the job.
Nearly 70% of Johnson County voted for Republican Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election.
Herschel's not going to back down. He's a fighter.
I've been a lot of places, but in Wrightsville, I learned important lessons.
On the trail, Walker is quick to mention his Wrightsville roots.
I'm from Wrightsville, Georgia.
He has always participated in our famous 4th of July parade that we have every year. He has done camps for youth here, for football.
But not everyone in this rural 3,500-person town is cheering him on.
He's still Johnson County's favorite son, but most of the people in Johnson County don't think he's the right person to be running for Senate.
I hope Warnock wins. Really do.
Sharika Johnson doesn't feel the multimillionaire former resident has done enough to help Wrightsville, specifically the black community here.
We see him, what, once a year when he come for the parade?
He's yet to campaign in the black community.
Curtis Dixon, who was Walker's 10th grade world history teacher and a coach on a state championship high school football team, described him as a good, polite kid who has given back to this community as an adult.
Sounds like you liked Herschel as a player and as a student.
Still do, but you know, this is business.
You don't feel like he's ready?
He's not ready.
Readiness is a concern even for those who say they'll still probably vote for Walker.
I think he ought to just wait and look inside before running to see what it would take.
Herschel Walker paid for an abortion for his then girlfriend.
Reports about Walker's turbulent past, including newly surfaced allegations he paid for an ex-girlfriend's abortion more than a decade ago, were not major topics around here. Walker has repeatedly denied the allegations. The residents we spoke with, who said they know Walker, did say they were surprised by his public acknowledgement in June that he had 4 children. Jerry Owensby is a supporter who's already cast his ballot for Walker, but laments the cost that the campaign has taken on the candidate personally.
I wish he hadn't have run.
Explain to me, why not?
Because he's too good for politics. It's hurt him with his family.
Dixon says he also worries about the impact this race is having on Walker's family, but struggles to reconcile the candidate he sees today with the kid he knew decades ago.
The face is there, the hair is there, it's got a little grayer, but I sometimes wonder if that's the same person.
Diane Gallagher, CNN, Wrightsville, Georgia.
A Navajo woman has just completed a 2,400-mile journey on foot from Arizona to D.C. Her goal is to bring awareness to missing Native Americans. The Advocate Channel's Josh Campbell spoke with Serafina Warren, whose aunt has been missing for 16 months.
It's hard to believe that amidst so much beauty,
it's lonely, it's empty.
There could be so much pain.
I pray that if somebody knows something, that they would say something.
Sadie Acevedo lives an endless cycle of grief. Her sister, Antoinette Calladito, went missing from her family's home in Gallup, New Mexico one evening in 1986, never to be seen again.
I have a hole inside of my life because we don't know where she is.
Antoinette is one of nearly 200 Native American and indigenous people in New Mexico and the Navajo Nation listed as missing today, according to the FBI.
I believe that number's a lot higher. I believe that a lot of it is overlooked.
It's a crisis that has spurred the FBI into action, enlisting the agency's intelligence resources best known for fighting crime and terrorism to create a master database of those missing, connecting their faces with the public in hopes of bringing victims home.
To you, this is more than just data.
It is more than just data. These are individuals, and these are individuals that are either in pain or missing or in trouble.
You got to be able to learn the land. You got to be able to learn the cultural norms.
We rode along with an FBI special agent who works with tribal police to solve cases on much of the nearly 30,000 square miles of Navajo Nation land spanning Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. We agreed not to name him as much of his work involves searching for violent criminals.
And our number one challenge is access. For certain crimes out here, it'll be some sort of family-on-family crime, and they may not want the individual to go to jail.
So one challenge in working a missing persons case here compared to, say, a big city is that you're limited in what evidence might be available.
Oh, absolutely. There's not going to be a neighbor with a doorbell camera. There's not going to be any exterior security cameras.
The Bureau and tribal police acknowledged the database was long overdue. Prior to the FBI's new database, law enforcement didn't have a firm grasp of the number of people actually missing.
Native Americans, everywhere we go, they're embedded in our very fabric of who we are as a society here. What's new about this effort is that we literally consolidated everything. That was kind of the biggest thing, right? So it's not that this work wasn't being done, it was just being done by everyone in different ways.
We recognize that maybe we weren't doing something the best we could have. This is a result of that. We want the public to understand we get it.
Few know better than Chief Noon, whose family member went missing in California.
I understand, the frustration and the need for closure, because just having that hang over the family as a whole, the family unit, it's horrible.
Police say the answers often lie within the Navajo Nation.
We're not looking at a boogeyman coming from the outside the Navajo Nation that stealing people. When people go missing, we're usually looking at domestic violence. We're usually looking at sexual abuse cases.
Sadie Acevedo thinks her sister's disappearance may have been tied to a relative. The FBI says it's considered all options, but needs new leads.
Just give us closure.
Acevedo hopes the public will scan the photos of the missing and perhaps end a family's pain.
What's your message to viewers who might say, well, I don't have time to see if I know who these people are?
Man, time, if it was your child, it would be important. It's somebody else's child. Make it important.
Josh Campbell, CNN, on the Navajo Nation.
DC Comics' Black Adam took over the box office in its first weekend. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stars in the superhero film DC comic film Black Adam, raked in approximately $67 million. It's The Rock's biggest box office open as a leading man playing an ancient Egyptian summoned to modern day. It's also the highest opening weekend since Thor: Love and Thunder in July. Black Adam took DC Comics nearly a decade to bring to life. The character had originally planned to launch as a villain in 2019 Shazam. Thank you for joining us for AC 24/7. For content that advocates for you, go to advocatechannel.com, follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Stephen Walker.